Well, hello, hello, hello again, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Spotlight 2020. I am your host, Gayle Nicholson. It is so great to see you again today. If you are watching on Facebook, please this one is going to be interactive. Make some comments. We will bring them into our conversation. If you've got questions, please do ask. Give us a like, give us a heart, and say something so we know where you're here, even if you don't have a question. If you're watching on YouTube, please the same. And please subscribe. We are growing, and we would love for you to be along for the ride. Now, today, for my veteran friends especially, my first responder friends especially, I really want you to pay close attention to this lady and everything that she has to say, because she has got some experience and she is a powerful resource and guide for anybody who's trying to navigate the Social Security disability process. So let me get out of the way and just introduce you right away to Ms. Lisa Hiering, CEO and founder of Side by Side Solutions, LLC. Thank you so much for being with us today, Lisa. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you, Gail, for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And thank you so much for picking up the baton and running with it this morning. You saved my bacon, and I appreciate it very, very much.
Happy to
But
do it.
thanks. You know what? I have been excited about and waiting to get you on my show for a long time because you have something that is close to unique to begin with, and so needed, so powerful, and so impactful for the people that you can help. So
Yes.
let's begin by talking a little bit about your background and
Okay.
how you came to be the advocate that you've become for first responders and veterans with Social Security.
Okay. Well, for starters, I'm the mother of a combat Marine veteran, granddaughter of two Navy veterans, and niece of three Navy veterans. So I come from a military family, proud military family. So that's for starters. I've already got a bias, right?
Right.
And actually, my older daughter was a first responder. She's now a nurse practitioner, but she was an EMT starting at 16 years old. So um, I worked for the Social Security Administration as a claims specialist there. So I did a lot of things at Social Security, but the majority of what I did was SSDI claims, Social Security disability claims. So I got very familiar with that process and what it was about. I I ended up with a situation where actually towards the beginning of my time at Social Security, I had a very bad accident. So I was hit and dragged by a car, and I am a very stubborn individual, like many of my clients. And I, despite the fact that my doctors all told me that I should go out on disability and stop working, I continued to work. So I was out for a while, obviously, with various surgeries and whatnot, but I went back to work. And I will say that it was a very big struggle to work, but I really loved my job. I got to get up every day, meet people from all over the world, and help people for a lot of them, at what was really one of the toughest times of their lives. So, and I could make it better, and I could help them understand the process, walk them through it. So it was really rewarding for me. And of course, it helped to take my mind off of my own troubles, right? It put my own troubles in perspective. So I ended up with two more accidents in my career. None of them were my fault. Motor vehicle accident in a car, and then a fall finally. So I finally got to the point where it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I still wanted to work. I was still trying to work. But my employer was like, we can't accommodate you any more than we already have, and you need to go home. And I will say that I was really devastated by that. I was terrified, how am I going to support myself? I still had one of my kids in college, and I had to go to her and tell her I can't continue to pay for your college education. And that was just really, really awful feeling.
Mm.
And I just really got to the point where I thought, my life is over. Like, what am I even doing here? What's my purpose? How can I take care of myself and my family? And I considered not staying. I considered not being here anymore. It was that bad. But what I started to do is I started to help largely veterans, because I had knowledge and people came to me, and I just kind of told them how to navigate the process. I was very, very fortunate. Let me just go back for a minute. In my initial accident, I was very fortunate to have first responders really, really save my life in that situation. And then subsequently, even before I lost my job, actually, I had a group of veterans that just really reached out to me, included me. I felt very comfortable with them. I had gotten a diagnosis of PTSD and TBI from my accident, in addition to some physical things. And it was just being in an environment with veterans I feel normal. I felt accepted and comfortable, and it felt like home to me, and it has ever since. So anyway, I was helping after I stopped working there. I was just informally helping people, and I did that for like 4.5 years. And then I just kind of had my own financial situation where I said, you know what, I need to do something to take care of myself more. I'm on disability. I'm still on disability. I will end up losing my disability, but that's okay. I started charging a small fee for consulting, and it's just grown like crazy. And I really can't help everybody that I want to help. So I'm in the process of creating a course for veterans, first responders, and some other folks to navigate the process so that I can help more people get through this. But I have a really good understanding both of what a lot of what my people struggle with, because I struggle with it too. And I know what it's like to be in that spot where you're like, you can't work, you want to work, what are you going to do with your life? So I've been able, and I do this every time I have a consultation, I've been able to have conversations with my veterans and first responders and say to them, hey, right now it seems really dim. It seems like this really, really sucks. But I want you to know that it is possible for you to reinvent your life. I've done that. And I'm way older than you, and I have probably a lot less skills than you do. So you don't see right now what your options might be. But trust me, they're there. And in the future, if you decide that you want to try to go back to work or be an entrepreneur, which is what happened to me, you can. You absolutely can do that. And Social Security doesn't yank your check away from you right away. They give you a good, solid, long ramp up process to make sure that you can sustain that work. So I like to think I give hope to my clients.
That's amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing. And thank you for doing that. Specifically, one of the things that I run across in what I'm doing is that I have an affinity for veterans myself, right? But I've never served, right? So I applaud the fact that you have so much of your heart to the veteran community and the first responders, from the same position I guess, as I do. In my particular, I don't want to map this onto you, but my particular outlook is these people have signed that blank check up to and including their lives. And in the current state of affairs, when they come home, in most cases, they're just given a little pat on the rear and say, go integrate yourself into civilian society. And it doesn't go that well. They've been trained for a different type of life. And sometimes that transition isn't so great. So I do what I can to help close that gap a bit. So I
Right.
applaud and appreciate that you're out there doing what you can from where you're at as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think often um, disabled folks get left behind. You know, there are a lot of programs out there for veterans to transition, you know, straight into a job. And a lot of them successfully do that. But what about the people who can't? And down the line, I actually hope to put together kind of I'm maybe going to use the wrong word, consortium of people, veterans and others who really care about veterans, who want to be of support to veterans who are disabled, who maybe can't go get a regular job, like me. They can't go get a regular job, but they could actually be entrepreneurs given the right support and the right information and the right, um, just the right support,
The
that they
guidance.
could
Yeah.
actually do that. And so I'm in the very beginning process of that, but I've been talking with some folks, other disabled veterans who've been able to be successful entrepreneurs. And they don't have to be disabled, they just have to be people that have compassion and understand, at least on some level, what disabled people struggle with. And my hope is down the line to really have something set up where I can say to a veteran, right now, we're going to focus on getting your benefits. That's what you need to do. Let's get some financial stability. Let's get you focused on your treatment, whatever treatment you need to get. But I'd like to circle back around with these folks and say to them maybe a year later, hey, have you thought about the fact that maybe you could be an entrepreneur? I've got a group of people that will mentor, show you the ropes, give you specific pieces of information. Because, when you start off a business, you're like, I don't know how to do this. I have to ask for help, right?
Right.
So, that's my hope is down the line to put something like that together. And I'm fortunate, really fortunate in my life that I have been able to connect with some just incredible people.
Yeah.
That I just love. So, and I think a number of these people would most definitely step up to do that. And certainly, I'm not saying they have to do it for free, but that's my hope.
That's
For the
awesome.
future.
A couple of those people I want to give a quick shout out to. Matthew Curran over at Convene Communities and Rob Garcia over at Success Engineers are two of those people that I know that are
Yes.
among that community that really help veterans get integrated, stabilized, give them opportunities and hope to
Yes.
go beyond. It's great to have disability to cover the bills, but
Right.
if you once you have that foundation, wouldn't it be great to create something that will pay more than disability would ever pay? You don't have
Exactly.
to live in poverty, if
Right.
going on. You can actually build something if you've got that bridge to stand on in the middle.
Right. And most veterans, and this might not be true for civilians, maybe not. I mean, it's true for me, but I don't know that generally speaking it's true for civilians. But most veterans want to work. They want to work. They need to be busy. They need to have, a mission of sorts. They're proud people, and rightfully so. And to have to, sit at home on disability, although there really shouldn't be any shame attached to that. There is for them, and there certainly was for me, and I know better, but there still was. So we all, I think, they feel better if they can work. They feel like they're contributing, they're serving. I think it's for almost everybody, it's better if you can do some kind of work, both from a financial standpoint and really from a mental health standpoint. I think it's better.
I agree 100% with that, especially the fact that whether it's veteran military based or not, people who
Right.
suffer from CTPSD and PTSD do much better when they can get out of their own heads and serve others. I don't care if it's at
Absolutely.
a soup kitchen. I don't care if it's picking up garbage on the side of the road. I don't care if it's sharing your expertise in how to, build community and create businesses. When we get inside of our own head and just spin around and around and around on the horrible things that are keeping us down, that's a recipe for, disaster. But when we can get
I
out there and do
couldn't
something.
I couldn't agree more. And it's funny that you should mention picking up trash on the side of the road, because I will tell you that I ended up, this is one of the things that really helped me. This particular group of veterans that kind of took me in are located in Baltimore. And I was living in New Jersey at the time. And I connected with them. That's another story, long story. But I connected with them, and they were doing a year-long service project at the behest of the Pat Tillman Foundation. And that service project was in a very underserved and poor neighborhood in Baltimore. And, eventually they went on to do things like paint murals, build playgrounds, get local, urban farms going, all those kinds of things. But the initial projects were literally picking up trash in these neighborhoods, or in this neighborhood. So I would drive from New Jersey down to Baltimore to spend the day with these veterans picking up trash on the side of the road.
Nice.
And, my friends were like, what are you doing? My family was like, what do you mean you're driving out of Baltimore to pick up trash? It was the camaraderie. It was the simple mission of cleaning up this neighborhood for people who had it worse than I did, for sure. And I met some unbelievable people in the process. So it's just funny that you say picking up trash on the side of the road, because that was actually very healing for me.
Yeah, it's very interesting how healing it can be and cathartic, because the two main components are there. You're doing something that makes a difference, and you're doing it in community with others. And I think especially for military, that is a balm for the soul.
Yes,
That's all
very
they
much.
that's all they ever want, right? For those who got their CTPSD or PTSD from different sources, I don't know if I can easily as go, yeah, that's that way too. But you know what? It probably is. It probably is. I mean, because where can you go wrong with helping someone else and connecting
Right.
with community?
And I think we're, as human beings, we're built for community. And PTSD in particular can be very, very isolating. And disability can be very isolating. Even if you don't have PTSD, you've got physical disabilities. It is just sort of instantaneously isolating. You feel different from others. You feel less than others. And so anything that you can do that puts you in community and makes you feel like you're useful in some manner, I think would be healing for anybody.
Yeah, I agree. Even my mom, who I'm sure that she had her own PTSD issues, but she was legally blind. I grew up with my mother with a leader dog and on SSDI, so I
Okay.
have that much experience with what you're talking about.
Sure.
But when she would always try to stay busy. And when she was at home, she would be in front of her computer. She had no depth perception. And she'd be typing up papers for college students and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah. But when I would take her out, like to Toastmasters or to 12-step meetings with me, that was when she felt happy. That's when she felt thriving, because she was, doing something that she could do, right? And in a community where she felt a part of, and things like that. So, I mean, it's just, I think, a magic key, those two things together. Now,
I agree. And I think it's very important that we try to reframe what that word disability means, because it tends to focus on what we can't do. And there's a lot I can't do that I used to be able to do. Ride a Harley, for example, kills me. But there's also a lot I can do. And I think that that's true, really for everybody, no matter what their disability is. They absolutely can be useful. They absolutely have the right to be here and be part of the larger community. So, a lot of the struggle for people like veterans and first responders is, oh, if I file for this benefit, it means I'm giving up. If I file for this benefit, it means I'll never work again. If I file for this benefit, I'm somehow some sort of loser, useless, incapable person. And none of that is true. Just none of it is true. But I understand that because, our culture is kind of set up that way. And of course, for military folks, and this is true to a certain extent for first responders as well, the environment that they were in taught them you have to be deployable. You want to be promotable, but you have to be deployable. So at all times, even if they are struggling mental health wise or physical health wise, suck it up, drive on. Don't talk about it. Whatever you do, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Don't seek help. Don't do any of that, because you run the risk of being non-deployable, and being non-deployable means that you are useless and the military will get rid of you. And certainly you want to be promotable. So that mindset, I have to have a conversation with my people about that, because that mindset tends to mask what's going on with them and tends to give a false impression of where they are really at when they file for benefits. So we have to talk about military mindset and how they have to set some of that aside in this process. And it's hard for them to do.
Yeah, I can imagine. I very much so. We have a couple of visitors and a question. Well, it's not really a question, but I do want to say hi to Stephen Fruman, who showed up to watch, and Jason Lee Curtis. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Jason actually, I think, wants to connect with you because he says that he would love to see how he can help veterans with their benefits and by becoming an entrepreneur. And Jason's got a number of business ventures out there, so I don't want to necessarily name just one, but I will make sure that you guys get connected after the show.
Great. I think we might be friends on Facebook, but I would love to talk to Jason about that. So, yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I think all three of us are members of the Success Engineers group that Rob Garcia runs. So, easy contact there. Yes. Easy contact. Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit, as much as you can anyway, about this course that you're doing.
Okay.
And, walk me through that essentially from a standpoint of, how does it help people navigate the process like you would if you were working with them in person?
Right. So what I am trying to create, and as I said, I'm getting help. Shout out to Jessica Moody, aka Jessica Lewis, who's a Marine, who is really the real brains behind the structure of my course and how to put that together. I have a lot of information in here, but it's not organized. So she's really the one that's helping me do that. So the idea is, I can only help a certain number of people with one-on-one consultations. I have my own limits, and then of course there's time, and there's a huge need. So the idea is to have a course where I can, put all of my information in a very organized step-by-step fashion, which is I do step-by-step with them when I do a consultation. All of the resources, everything that they need to know about filing for this benefit. I have what I call insider secrets, meaning I know things about where the system breaks down. That's not something that Social Security is going to tell you on their website. They don't do that. It's not even something that a lawyer is going to know, because I worked there and I was responsible in my office for processing all of the denials. I saw what can go wrong and why it goes wrong. So when I do consultations with people, I teach them, this is what can go wrong. This is how you get around it. And when I say get around it, I don't mean anything unethical or untruthful, not at all. I just mean, this is how you make sure this doesn't happen to you. So, when people file for this benefit, they basically do it like this, and I don't blame them. What do they know? They go online, they file their claim, they cross their fingers, they go into a veterans group and say, I just filed for Social Security, everybody, pray for me. And there's nothing wrong with them saying that, but there is so much more that they can do to help themselves get approved. So I don't do it for them. I empower them to do it, which I think is really, frankly, much better. It's not me being lazy. It's me being cost effective for them. But more importantly, they own that. They own that process. They can feel really good if they get approved. I did this for myself. I successfully navigated this really challenging and difficult process. So the course will launch this year, and it will be sitting on, or hosted on, if you will, a platform called Convene Communities, which is ideal for me. I'm super happy about being on this platform. It's run by some amazing people, has no algorithm. So, what you see is what you see when you get on there. And I plan, like I do now, on sharing some really great free information with folks. And then my course will be a paid course, and it will be affordable for people. So that's the plan. If anybody's interested in Convene Communities, it's great for anybody that wants to share content, podcasters, bloggers, YouTubers, teachers, anybody that wants to share, even their personal experiences. It's a great platform, and they can reach out to me, and I'll happily connect them to the platform. So.
Excellent stuff. Now today, you are offering everyone who's watching the opportunity to email you and receive your guide, 8 Myths and Misconceptions. Correct? Is that the whole title? 8 Myths and Misconceptions about Social Security Disability. Correct?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, because there's a lot of information out there that, on the internet that is just simply not true. So this is kind of my way of saying, hey, you might have thought it was this, it's really not. And so I'll happily send that out to anybody that emails me.
Awesome. So Lisa's email is sidebyside-solutions LLC @gmail.com.
Yes.
Real simple. Name of the company, LLC @gmail. Go ahead and email Lisa today to get the copy of that. And then by all means, reach out to her, please, and find out what she can do to help you and guide you along the path if this is something that needs to be part of your life. And trust me, if you're eligible for it, there's no shame in using the resources that are available and made available specifically because there are people just like you that also need it as much as you do. So,
right.
No,
I'll happily get on a, 15, 20-minute call with anybody. Maybe they're not sure they're eligible. Maybe they've filed before, they've gotten denied, they have some basic questions. Mm-hmm. I'm more than happy to do that with no obligation to hire me for a full consultation or ultimately to take my course. I'm happy to just kind of do that because I understand it's kind of a whole mindset thing that you have to come to this conclusion that you need to file. So I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Dennis Park, who just joined us recently on the viewing. And thanks for joining us, Dennis. Unfortunately, our time is coming to an end, so you'll have to go back and rewatch this once it's up on the replay. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today. Do you have any final thoughts for everybody that are listening in right now?
I guess I would just say that I really want people to understand that there is no shame in finding yourself in a situation like this where you cannot work. It's very, very tough. Please reach out and get the support that you need, including, filing for the benefits that you paid for. So, this is an earned benefit. And if you might be entitled, you should file for this benefit.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again, Lisa, and have a fantastic weekend.
Thanks for having me, Gail. I really appreciate it.
When you open yourself up to actual energy work, makes that recovery progress so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as a victim until your last days. You have unbelievable strength, and I know that because you're still here. Do you want to create something completely unrecognizable with your life? I can show you how.